Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Hannah, and today's video I have got some more food preservation for y'all. And this will be the last video for the last week of the Three Rivers Homestead Every Bit Counts Challenge. And so this week I made it easy projects again, just a bunch of freezing. So starting off the video, I've got some onions. I had some of these go bad in the bag. So I decided to take the ones that were still good and get those chopped up and put into a bag for the freezer. That way I could prevent them from going bad as well. So that's what I did. Just got these chopped up, put in a bag, labeled, and stuck in the freezer to use for later on in different recipes. In this bowl, I've got 8 cups of water, and I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of salt. I've seen to freeze apple slices that you should soak them in the slices in that salt and water mixture. That way it'll prevent them from going brown as you work through all the apples you need to get done, and also while they're in the freezer before you use them. So I soaked my apples like I do all my produce in vinegar and water just to clean them good. And I'm going through and drying them off now that I've got them rinsed off, and gonna check for any bad spots and cut it off like I did this one, which honestly there was only a couple apples with some bad spots. But I have that whole basket of apples from the Amish. I got it for only $15, that whole basket. I'm taking these apples and putting them on this apple core and pillar device. I love this thing. I can link it down in the description box below. It's from Amazon. It works really, really well. And I'm putting all the sliced apples in the bowl of salt and water to soak, and then I'm putting all my scraps like the core and the peel in a separate bowl, and I'm going to use the scraps later on in the video to make apple scrap vinegar. So I started out putting all these apples in this little quart bag, and then realized that that was not working out. It was too small, so I had to switch to a gallon bag. But I'm doing these apples in batches of 5 because I read on a recipe that you need about 4 to 5 apples per apple crumble. So I decided to just do 5 apples at a time for each bag. That way when I pull a bag out, then I know that that's enough for 1 apple crumble. So as you can see, after I got a bag filled, I just started working on another batch of 5 apples after I had got them all soaked and rinsed and dried and any bad spots cut off. and until I think I reached about 3-gallon bags of apples, and decided that would be good enough for now, and that way I can make sure I have enough apples saved for when I want to make some apple pie filling. Um, when I looked this up on freezing apples, it said to make sure do not rinse the apples after you've got them soaked. You do not want to rinse off the salt and water mixture. That way it continues to stay on those apple slices during the freezer and keep it from turning brown on you. But got my second bag. Now I'm going to start working on my third bag, and for some reason that apple did not do very good after I had cut off a couple bad spots. So that one kind of ripped the very end of the apple off, but it's all right. I just tossed that to the scrap bowl, the end of it that ripped off, and I'll just put that in with my apple scrap vinegar. And as you can see, I had a little trouble getting some of these apple cores off of the little spikes that you push the apple onto. That one broke in half, and I had the hardest time on some of them getting them off. On this one, you can see I'm throwing a couple of the slices into that scrap bowl of apple peels and stuff. I just seen a couple of bad spots I didn't like on there, so I threw those in there to get them out of my way. So I knew not to put them in that bag, but getting my bags labeled here, so I know that it is apples, and I don't confuse myself later on what it is. And I'm going to get those stuck in the freezer. Like I said, I had 3-gallon bags for the freezer, so I can make apple crumble or some other kind of apple dessert later on when we want some. So working on that apple scrap vinegar that I told you guys I was going to make out of these apple scraps, I'm taking peels and cores out of this bowl and putting it in this 1/2-gallon mason jar. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar and fill the jar the rest of the way up with water. And then I'll take a little old baby food jar that I had saved a long time ago, And I'm gonna stick that in the top of my jar to help weigh down these apple peels and stuff. That way none of it goes above the water. So because if it gets above the water, then it will mold. So I want that all pushed well under the water. And then I'm going to place a coffee filter over the top with a rubber band so I can be sure that nothing gets in my jar but still allow it to have some airflow. I'll let this sit on the counter for about 2 weeks, and then I will strain out the solids and put it in a good clean jar, and then I think it has to sit for about, I think it's 6 months, and then it should be ready to use. Now that I've got the apples done and the apple scrap vinegar done, I'm working on some carrots. I also bought these carrots at the Amish. It was a bag. I don't even know how many was in there, but they are really good sized carrots. You'll see that in a minute. Bigger than the ones you get at the store and bigger than ones I grew last year in my garden. My carrots did not turn out very big for my garden last year, but these are some good sized carrots, and I think I only paid like $4 for the bag of them, and they're good, big, homegrown carrots. So to start preserving these carrots, I am going to wash them really well, and then I'm going to cut both ends of the carrots off, peel the outer skin or whatever it's called off of them, and then I will give them another good wash just so I can ensure that I'm not leaving any dirt behind on these carrots. I don't want them to go bad after I just bought them. Now that all those are peeled and washed again, I'm going to place these in some boiling water for 5 minutes to blanch them. And I realized after I started putting these in there that I really should have used a bigger pot, but oh well, I just had to kind of do 2 batches of them. But after they boiled for 5 minutes, I put them in a bowl of cold water to shock them. And then I drained out the water and started putting these in my little mini food chopper because I don't have a big food processor, which I realize now I need to get one because I can only fit a couple carrots at a time in here, and I end up having to break them in half to even get them to fit in this. So I was seeing on Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead on her one of her Every Bit Counts videos that she was freezing her carrots shredded up like this, and in measuring out 2 cups per bag because she has a recipe that for carrot muffins that she likes to make, and it calls for 2 cups of shredded carrots. So I decided I was going to do that and try that recipe out later on as well and see if me and my kids enjoy it. So, however many carrots that was, it ended up being the perfect amount, uh, uh, measuring it out 2 cups at a time for bags. I didn't have any random little bits or a cup or anything like that left over. It was perfect for exactly 3 bags of carrots, and I'm so thankful for that because then if I would have had any left over, I would have been like, well, what am I going to do with these carrots now? I don't really know what to do with like a random cup of carrots or whatever. So I had the perfect amount. I put these in a quart bag and I pressed it down so that way they would thaw out easier and store better in the freezer this way. And labeled them carrots so I knew what it was. And then also wrote 2 cups so that later on when I pulled a bag out, I knew that that was the perfect amount for a batch of muffins. Alright, y'all, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this gave you some good ideas for some easy projects to preserve some food for later on for you and your family. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.